Mr. B, what's going on?
Hey there. Welcome back.
What you reading?
Oh, I'm looking at my, reminiscing over my old yearbook from a few years back when I was teaching over at Penwood.
Miss your kids, don't you?
Yeah, I miss my kids. So, I understand you want to become a designer.
Yep.
You want to make things, and you want to know where to begin.
What do I do?
Well, the first thing you have to be able to do is to be able to get your ideas down on paper and to be able to communicate with someone else. So, why don't I take you through some of the steps. We'll look at how we put together pictorial drawings and then working drawings. We'll talk a little bit about architecture. I'll share with you some of my freehand sketching techniques that'll make it easier for you to get your ideas down on paper too. Also, later on, after we had a chance to try some of these drawings, maybe we'll get into designing a house.
Cool.
And then when you're ready, I'll take you into the shop and I'll show you how to make things out of wood, metal, plastic, ceramics.
Wow.
And a few other things as you're ready.
I love tools.
But first, we'll start off by the fundamentals of any communication, which would be pictorial drawings. When you communicate with someone else, probably the first thing you do is you want to sit down and make a sketch for them, which is the logical thing to do.
Yep.
And the first thing that we're going to be looking at are the 4 basic types of pictorial drawings. And you'll be surprised that some of those things that you've sketched in the past will look similar to what I'm going to show you, but we're going to break it down to the 4 types, and you can now then go to the next phase of showing somebody working drawings based upon what I call the plastic box principle, and I'll go into that in more detail later. But let's get started. Let's take a walk over to the drawing board and I'll show you what we're going to do.
Cool, let's go.
Well, now that we're getting started, the first place you really need to begin to communicate with someone is with a pictorial drawing, as I was saying before. And as I said before, there are 4 basic types of pictorial drawings. Now, I think before anyone ever tried to communicate with anyone, to try to get their ideas down, they tried to draw pictures, 3-dimensional pictures. And the first one that we're going to be looking at is probably one that you've drawn before. So let's switch over and look at the screen. And the first thing that you probably ever drew was something like this. You had a square. I've drawn that a little bit better. And behind that you may have drawn another square like this.
I remember this.
And then you connected them together kind of like this.
I did this in 1st grade.
You have one side that's flat and the other side's off on an angle. And for illustration purposes, this angle can either be 30 degrees, 60 degrees, or 45 degrees, which I'll explain later. But the title of this type of drawing that you've done before is called an oblique drawing. O-B-L-I-Q-U-E, oblique drawing.
Oblique, huh?
So this is the first of the
Oblique,
four.
oblique, oblique.
And while I'm doing this, why don't you try to sketch these along with me and get an idea of what...
Okay, Mr. B, I want to get some paper. Just a minute.
Okay, the second pictorial drawing is going to be three-dimensional again, but drawn a little bit differently. So I'm going to switch back. And we're going to start off this time with an arrow. And from this arrow, we can expand this shape in this direction to the left, this direction to the right, and then straight up. Again, this arrow is set, on this example it's about 30 degrees. But as opposed to what we saw last time, the box is going to be built with an angle on either side. Before we had it flat, and now this time it's going to be, again, 30, 60, or 45 degrees on either side. So it would be the same on both sides.
Okay, got it.
So I'm going to expand this out. Now, I've chosen to make this center line so tall. I'm going to do the same thing on this end, same height, and the same thing over here to make it trident. Now I'm going to connect the tops together. I'm going to change colors a little bit here so you can see. I'm just going to connect the tops of these together. To form a book. And then finally we're going to make a box by keeping the same angle going either way until they cross over like that.
Cool. Hey, where did that picture
This is
come
called
from?
an isometric box. And
Isometric, huh?
if we made this more transparent, we could probably add some hidden lines back here. Just think of this as being a clear plastic box. And connect these up like this.
I like this style.
This particular design is used quite a bit in design. You'll see this happen more and more as we go through this exploration of graphic communications. But we'll be using this a lot, and you'll see that there's paper that's actually called isometric paper where you can create these different objects.